Hello and welcome to the show. Today is another out and about episode, so expect to hear some interruptions in the background. Today, shout out to Adebisi Olaide. He's a product manager and also a PR and brand manager who's based out of Lagos. So he's a listener of the show who discovered the podcast on Spotify and then reached out to me on LinkedIn. And he reached out just to applaud the depth of knowledge on the podcast. He thinks the podcast is great and he's a fan. So thank you very much, Adebisi Olaide, for listening to the show. And please, I hope that you're going to share the show with other project managers, PR people, brand people, and any other person who might get to learn some tidbits here and there from the world of sales that might help them be better in their businesses and in their careers. So the topic we're going to handle today on the podcast is whether salespeople should have MBAs. So an MBA is a Master of Business Administration, and this is a user question. I haven't had a user question in a very long time, or rather I haven't treated one. So since I got one on LinkedIn from Salami Abubakri, I figured let me just come over here and make the podcast recording. So Salami Abubakri, if you are listening to the show, then this is the answer to the question that you asked me on LinkedIn. And thank you for being patient for me to run through all the things that I had before coming to this particular question, because I think he asked me this question about a week ago. Now, Salami Abubakri is also a listener of the podcast who discovered it on Spotify and reached out to me on LinkedIn. And coincidentally, he also is a project manager as well, just like Adebisi Olaide, the same person I was shouting out today. So the answer to the question, should salespeople have MBAs? And for those of you who've been listening to the podcast for a very long time, you're not surprised by my answer, because the answer is depends, because lots of things are very contextual. But the main thesis that I have, and the main thesis that you're going to get, the main idea that you're going to get, regardless of whichever sales professional, or rather sales consultant or business growth consultant that you talk to, there's one answer that we agree on and we're unanimous on. Whether you have an MBA or not, one thing that is required to be successful in sales and selling is business acumen. So if you have the degree, that is good. The degree just means that you are credentialed, but you don't necessarily need the degree to have business acumen. So that's the reason why I say it depends. So there are some people who have gone and had MBAs and have found it to be of immense value, and has been the beginning of them acquiring business acumen. But then you have some people, on the other hand, who have gone and had MBAs, but who felt that the real world experience that they had in business, either prior to the MBA or after the MBA, is what really gave them all the business acumen that they need. So the short answer is it depends. But the thing that you definitely need is business acumen. The thing that will help you show the world, that will credential you to show that you have business acumen, is the MBA. So, take that and do what you will. Now, when we say business acumen, what we mean, especially from a sales and business development perspective, is this. You need insight on your customer, insight on your client needs, insight on their context, insight on their business, all those sorts of things. That's what we mean by when we say business acumen. Now, for all the examples that I've been talking about over here on the podcast, like Miss Oma, for instance. Miss Oma has been commenting a lot on the podcast. She's a beauty and skincare specialist. So when we talked about Miss Oma's business and her colleagues in Enugu, you can see that in order for them to be successful in selling to their customers, they need insight on their customers. What do the customers want? Insight on skincare, skin routines, goals, what kind of vision do they have for themselves, psychological benefits that they're looking for, physical benefits, and on and on and on. So we need some insight on our customers, insights on their needs, their context, their business. All of these things is what we sum up when we say business acumen. Although you'll notice that Ms. Oma is more of a business to consumer, so she's selling to a consumer, and then some of us are business to business. So like the services I provide a lot of times to business owners. People who already have a business. 4 or 5 salespeople. Those are the people that hit me up so far. So, but anyway, business acumen, that's the main thing. whether you have an MBA or not. Business acumen is what we're striving for. But let's try and pass out the topic, or rather the question, a little further, and let's define an MBA. Now, an MBA is just an advanced degree. When we say advanced degree, we just mean it is more than HND and is more than the normal 4 years degree that you studied, whichever school that you went to. So there's HND, and then there's OND, and then there's the university degree. So those of you who studied law or medicine or accounting or Yoruba or sports or theater arts, you went to school, you got a degree. Now, what you do after that, those are the advanced degrees. So masters and PhD, those are advanced degrees. So the MBA is an advanced degree. Now, the focus of the MBA is to teach people how to administer business. I repeat, MBA, advanced degree. The focus is to teach people how to administer business. Now, what do you mean when you say you're administering a business? It just means you know how to manage a business. You know how to lead within a business context. And these are things, quite frankly, that is good for salespeople to know. So you can see how, if you haven't had business acumen because of real world experience, let's say you finish your university and then you go straight for an MBA, you can see how having the MBA is not going to hurt. Especially if you can afford it. Because these days, man, what I'm hearing are school fees, like it's rough, real rough. Especially if you're going to go to one of those premier institutions, maybe like Harvard, for instance. One of my late uncles was a Harvard MBA. Then my momsy is also an MBA as well, but momsy is not Harvard. Momsy is Boston University, Massachusetts. So, same town, sure. But me, I don't have an MBA. So, sorry, one moment. I have to attend to something and I'll get back to you guys. Okay, I'm back. Sorry, even though for you guys it's been a very short break, maybe a couple of seconds, for me it actually has been like a 45-minute, 1 hour break. I had to change locations. I had some runs to do at the bank, and I didn't think things were going to take that quick, which is why I started off the recording anyway. But okay, so let me try and gather my thoughts. I think I was talking about, I think where we stopped is I had tried to define what an MBA is. I'd spoken about how it's an advanced degree. And the whole point of an MBA is to teach you how to administer business. Yeah, I think that's where I was. And administering business would just mean, how do you manage a business? How do you lead within the business context? And so I think that's where I stopped. I said, that these are things that are generally good for salespeople to know. Then let's look at some of the core courses that you would learn in an MBA course. If you just go on Google and check any of your favorite MBA places, whether it's a MBA University of Unilag, or MBA OAU, MBA Harvard, MBA University of Sydney, MBA wherever, you'll find that there are a couple of courses that seem to be like the the core courses. So we have courses in finance and accounting. So that's stuff you would learn if you do an MBA. You would also have courses in marketing. That's very, very foundational stuff you're going to do. You're also going to learn operations management, organizational behavior, and economics. So those are like the main courses that seem to cut across, whether it's Unilag, OAU, Sydney, University of Egypt, Abakaliki University, anyway. Well, that's if they offer MBAs there. So you're going to learn finance, accounting, marketing, operations, organizational behavior, and then economics. So these are the core courses. And then traditionally, when you hear MBA, the usual candidates or the usual people that are being targeted, like on LinkedIn, these people are sending me messages tired. They keep sending me messages over and over and over again. They keep saying for career advancement, blah, 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 MBA University of Sydney, MBA University of this, MBA University of that. But one thing in common is that they say for career advancement. And I think that's a cue about the kind of people that are being targeted for the MBA program. So it's actually for people who want to switch up their career. You want to grow your career, switch up your career. So yes, there's stuff that you're going to learn that will help you to be much more entrepreneurial. But really, this course has been designed for people who are employees and who want career advancement. But remember, I said that by going through the MBA, you can gain a certain level of business acumen, and you might be able to find it useful if it is something that you can afford. If you come from the right family, your family has the pepper, or you've worked hard, because I've met people like that who have, worked hard to build their businesses, and then after, maybe like 20 something years, they decide that, look, I need this MBA, and then they go and do the MBA, or they go and do LBS. I'll talk about that, more about that later. So the usual candidates are people who want to advance in their career, which is something that my mother did. So I've mentioned time and time again on the podcast that I'm from a journalism family, basically, because Popsy studied radio production. He had his OND. No, okay, he got OND from Unilag, I think. I busy HND Unilag. Then he now did some sort of diploma somewhere in London, something in radio production. And then after that, he now started doing, he did some radio production in Kaduna, I think NTA. Abi, is it NTA? Abi, Radio Nigeria. Look, I can't remember. I wasn't even born by this time, to be honest. So it's just by finding his papers, here and there after he died, that I found out about his radio career. So by the time I was born, my father was a TV man. When I say TV, I mean television. I don't mean TV like TV Tribe. In this part of the in Nigeria, I say TV. Some Nigerians say TV. So he was in television production. That's the time I was born. My father was in television production. But before then, he had a career in radio. And I've long since met people who, who talk about his days. But in Kaduna when he was on the radio and how smooth he was, and everything, stuff like that. Sure. Where was I? Career advancement, yes. So my father, journalism. Momsy, the same thing. Studied theater arts, ended up in Makurdi, in NTA, and then also would later on be in NTA Abuja, and she would now be, I think she was more like a producer kind of role or something. Yeah, she was like doing productions, and then my father was. And the bottom line, we started off as TV and journalism. Now, eventually, as around the time we're getting to secondary school, Momsy's take was that Nigeria was changing. The face of Nigeria was changing, and it will be time to take that evolution into a much more corporate context. And so, for her, career advancement meant going to Boston, Massachusetts, and getting the MBA with an emphasis in public relations. So that's how she made the switch. So we're still babies then. She went to Massachusetts, got the MBA, came back. Then by 1985, so in 1985, that's when she now left NTA and now became the first. She now became the first public relations. I don't know. I can't remember what it's called. Maybe like the public relations chief or public relations officer or whatever it was called for the Hilton Hotel. Yeah, the Hilton Hotel was brand new back then, and so that's how Momsy made the switch. So you see that MBA courses are typically targeted at these sorts of people, career switch, career advancement, all that sort of thing. So here you had a civil servant who was thinking of making the switch. I'm tired of being in civil service. I think Nigeria is going to go very corporate in the next couple of decades. Turns out Momsy was right. And so for me to switch, I guys go to school, let me go abroad, let me do this MBA thing. Now when I come back, I use the MBA Pali and then apply to a corporate organization, Hilton Hotel. She starts off as a public relations officer, and then from there, that's how she begins to migrate small. Eventually, she becomes a marketing executive. So, when you hear MBA, this is the typical sort of thing that people have in mind. Not necessarily salespeople, and not necessarily business people. But like I say, if you can afford it, if you are, if your life is that sweet that you can go and do an MBA, it will give you a certain level of business acumen, which is going to help, in your ability to sell. So yeah, that's it. The usual candidates for MBAs, folks like my mom, career advancement, career switch, career this, career that. But still, it might help. Now, the advantage of the MBA, the advantage of the MBA, like I said, it shows that you are credentialed. And it's a good way to signal to the marketplace and to signal to prospective clients that you have the credentials. So those of you listening to this podcast now, and a couple of you who have met me in person, clearly you guys think I know my stuff. But given the work that I've put out so far with the podcast, and then with what I've been doing with my consulting practice, my speaking practice, and things like that. If I had the MBA, for some people, it would make me seem more credible. So, I mean, think about it. Like I said, if it's something you can do easily, yeah, it can make you appear much more credentialed. It's a good signal to the marketplace. It's a good signal to prospective clients. So if you can afford an MBA, to be honest, in my own opinion, it's not bad. In most places, it's only going to take you 2 years. If you're a youngish chap, it's not a problem. If you're 40, start. By the time you're 42, you'll be done. If you are 25, like one of my mentees that I met yesterday, shout out to Joshua Igwe. He, through the Faith Foundation in Lagos, he's a listener of the podcast, but not a faithful listener. I was able to he's the fellow that I referred to earlier on the podcast, the person who got 2M. And I made the podcast episode about how the best way to spend that kind of money if you got a cash injection. So that whole podcast episode was about him, Joshua Igwe. He has a cafe in Lagos called Pomkwem. Pomkwem means full stop. I mean, the most interesting name I've heard for a company. So he has a cafe, and then he also does online gaming. So Pomkwem, that's the name of his business outfit. So so we finally hooked up yesterday. I thought it was a 30-something-year-old chap, but we met finally yesterday, and only to turn out that he's like 24, 25-ish. But anyway, he doesn't look that young. I mean, he sounds more mature. Let me just put it that way. So if you're like Joshua Igwe, you're 25, start the MBA. By the time you're 27, 28, you're done. So it's not that much of a problem. So if you can afford it, it's not bad. The education is good. The networking opportunities. Now pay attention, especially for those of us in Nigeria of 2025. If you're listening to this podcast in 3162, maybe things have changed in Nigeria. But right now in 2025, the networking opportunities for those people who are MBA educated actually is not bad, but it depends on the school. For instance, Harvard MBAs, now they're like a cult unto themselves. They feel as if they're fresher than the rest of us, but they're a club unto themselves. So Harvard MBAs in Nigeria, they have their own association, they have their own networking events, they know themselves, they pass around their names, their business cards, their everything. So if you're into that kind of life, then by all means, go and get a Harvard MBA, so that when you come back, you go to floss with them. Like, yeah, I want here, like, it's all of us. Harvard MBA, Nigeria, like, well, we're at the top. Prestige. We are smart. We are big boys. We are big girls. So if you're into that sort of thing, then go and get a Harvard MBA if you can afford it. So if Popsy is paying and you don't want to go for school, and you can't decide what school to go for, but Popsy say you must go, you might as well tax Popsy and just go for Harvard MBA if you can afford it. Then if you can't afford the foreign MBA experience, there are local alternatives. Unfortunately, the local alternatives are also very pricey. So it's not like before that Unilag MBA was pure water, or Obafemi Awolowo University was pure water. Now you're going to have to pay some good currency to get those degrees. So yes, Nigerian universities also offer MBAs. Ahmadu Bello, Ahmadu Bello also does an MBA. What else? Kano. I know that you can do an MBA in Kano as well. I wanted to do an MBA while I was serving in Kano, but at the time was against the rules. You couldn't be do your NYSC and then be pursuing your MBA. So I didn't do that. Although some people were saying that, if I just bribe one or two people, I could have done it. But I beg, I'm afraid of some things. So, and I don't even know how to bribe anyway. So I just said, let me just leave this thing. I beg, we'll face MBA later. So, those are some of the local alternatives. And then there's also the LBS. That's the Lagos Business School, or Pan-African University. That's another name. They also have a good alumni network, and people go there to do executive programs. So part of the touch-up that Momsi did later on was she went to LBS as well, Lagos Business School. Then she did, they have the executive executive program in something. I can't remember. Then a classmate of mine, Ene, who runs a successful architecture practice here in Abuja, she also did something similar. That's how she got her own. Okay, you can't really call that an advanced degree, but that's how she kind of got her own MBA, sort of like alternative. She went to LBS as well. I was part of the executive something program. All these things I'm saying, excuse me, all these things I'm saying, I'm not using the proper names. So if you go on Google, you'll be able to find it. So just Google LBS or Pan African University, and then maybe just add an executive program or senior executive program. You'll see all the courses there. Everything would just come out. Then, so like I said, they have a good alumni network, and in all honesty, that is the sort of institution that I hope to retire in. I'm hoping that after I've been doing this for a while, when I hit maybe like that kind of 65, 70, I can retire in a place like that, maybe in LBS, retire as an associate professor, and then continue teaching people until the Lord calls me home. So, yeah, if things work out, then when I'm a very old man, you guys will find me in LBS. If my wife is dead by then, maybe I would even be pursuing small girls on top. So, anyway, but don't quote me. You didn't hear me say that. I was like, so if you can afford an MBA, go ahead. If you can't afford an MBA, there are local alternatives. And then there are also alternatives like LBS that are not MBAs, but will teach you how to administer a business. How do you manage a business? How do you do leadership in a business? So, yeah, that's it. Okay, there's one thing I didn't define, business acumen. Because remember, I was saying that for salespeople, the cocoa that we should be paying attention to right now is business acumen. Because you cannot be a good salesperson and then lack business acumen. Now, business acumen is just understanding. Business acumen is just being sharp, basically. How sharp are you? How much understanding do you have when it comes to dealing with business situations? That's just what business acumen means. So how much knowledge do you have? How much skills do you have? How much experience do you have? So now you see why salespeople can get business acumen without having an MBA, because it is this skills and experience part. Traditionally, that is where we sales professionals, that's where we get our chops. So for me, I do not have an MBA. But when I talk, some people assume that I'm an MBA grad. I'm not an MBA grad. I just have business acumen. I've got some knowledge. I've got some skills. I've got some experience that I have picked up from trying to develop myself, interacting with people, and then also dealing with business situations over the span of my career, from legal to civil service to wedding photography to export business. So that is how I picked up my business acumen. So yes, if you're listening to the show, because I run into some of you and then people ask me, oh, what did you study? When we have that conversation, lots of people are surprised. So let me just say it here so that you'll be surprised again when you meet me. I am not an MBA. I did not go to Harvard. My foreign degree is in oil and gas law. So when you meet me, there's no need being surprised. I am not an MBA. I wanted to pursue my MBA when I was 7 in Kano. That didn't work out. I applied for a foreign MBA in Aberdeen, but I was rejected. So what I have is a postgraduate diploma in business administration. That's the closest that I have to this whole business thing. But yeah, I'm not an MBA, even though I sound like one. So that's what business acumen means. And so long as you are a salesperson, you're trying to beef up your knowledge, you're trying to apply your skills, and you're looking for new experiences, that is how you're going to acquire acumen over time. Traditionally, that's how it's done. So for a sales pro, the reason why acumen is important, like I said at the top of the podcast, is you need to understand your clients. You need to understand the context, understand the situation, understand the problems, whether you're dealing with individuals like Mesoma, who's a beauty and skincare specialist in Enugu, her and her clique, and or whether you're doing B2B like me, for instance, advising other businesses how they're supposed to grow their revenues. So we need to do that. So business acumen, really, really important for sales and really, really important for whatever business that you do. If you're a caterer, you need acumen. You need business acumen. That's what's going to help you build your business. If you're a consultant like me, You need business argument. Sorry, I say argument. Acumen, because it's going to help you build your clients' businesses. So no matter what it is you do, you need business acumen. In fact, even if you are a carpenter, common carpenter, in quote, that is how you are going to be able to elevate yourself. It is from the level of business acumen that you have that you are going to be able to reposition the business. So business acumen, really important, whoever you are. So business acumen is required as a consultant. What are the things that you need to be acumening on? What are the things that you need to know? We need to have a certain level of financial literacy. We need to know how our customers make money. And that's one reason why when I'm talking to any of you, no matter what your business is, I ask you questions about the finances, because I need to understand, how do you make money? Which is your product that brings in the most? Which one has the highest profit margin? Which one is the one that is selling the most, even though it makes the least amount of money? How is it that you guys make money? I need to know that. You also need to know that as part of business acumen. How do people make money? How is money made? Then strategy. Strategy is just I like to say strategies is where are we heading? What opportunities are we looking for? Yeah, let me just leave it like that. Strategy, where are we heading? What opportunities are we looking for? And what objectives are we going to use to get there? So that is part of the business acumen that you need as well. Your customers, your clients, you need to know where are they heading. Know the financials. How are they making money? Know where it is that they're heading. Then market awareness. That is like market awareness just means you know what's up. What are the trends in the market? Things like that. So we need to also know where the market is heading. Then leadership and communication. That is more about leadership and communication. Well, let's say it's more like influencing people, trying to get things done. Yeah, let me put it that way. Leadership and communication is more about trying to get things done. So influencing people. And that's why I keep talking about advancements on the podcast. That is not enough for us to keep having nice meetings. You have meetings, you send emails, you do this, but at the end of the day, nothing happened. We need to be able to secure advancements. Advancements means you're talking to somebody, you are able to get that person to take the next important step in getting something done. And it's something that I learned very early as a wedding photographer, that you can have nice conversations with people. And sorry about that, this idiot is driving away next to me. Where was I? So I learned as a wedding photographer very early that you can be having wonderful conversations with people. You guys vibe like 5 and 6, and it looks like you guys are friends. But if you send over that proposal and you don't ask for anything, they will tell you, let me get back to you. And then from let me get back to you, like, oh, I'm sorry, I was busy. This is that. Next thing, ghost mode. And then before you know it, another photographer has landed the gig. The reason why the other person landed the gig is because leadership and communication, influencing, gaining advancements. You did not ask, the other person asked. So send him a proposal and then ask the question, is everything set here? Before your very face, let them ask, because, it's very simple. If you're in skincare, or if you're in photography, or you're in catering, it's a very simple something. There's nothing to go and think again. Like, it's right here. Is everything set? Okay, good. It looks like everything is in order. Fantastic. For us to move forward, I need a deposit of 60%. So how soon can you raise that 250K? And then you keep quiet and then hear what they have to say. It's that simple. To move forward, I need a payment. To move forward, I need a deposit. For us to meet this date, we need a deposit of so and so. So, is that something you're willing to do? How soon can you raise this? We need this payment by January 25th. Is that possible? Like, there are a million ways to ask. But ask. Leadership and communication. It's not just about talking fancy. It's about getting stuff done. So, let's see what else. Okay, industry knowledge. These are all the things that we need when we talk about business acumen. So you can see that business acumen is a very wide and varied term. But the main thing that I'm trying to say in this episode is, if you're thinking, I want to improve my selling capability, should I have an MBA? It is not necessary. What is necessary is business acumen. You can gain business acumen through real-world experience, or you can also gain it through your MBA. But because of the added benefits that the MBA has for career progression and for networking and for credentialing yourself and showing credibility, if you can afford by all means, do it. So, like, my guy, no Buligwe, if you're a young man and Popsy is harassing you, Momsy is harassing you, say you must do MBA, now is the time. If you're 20, 25, now is the time. It sounds like it's a long time, but 2 years is very short. Trust me, 2 years is very, very short. And then plus, if they're paying for you to go abroad, think of it as a working holiday. You're going to go on holiday and you're going to be working. And then, when you're done, you decide what next you want to do with your life. For those of you who have young families, like my mom did, sometimes it's a bit of work. You talk to your spouse, there's some planning, you guys raise the money, like in my own parents' case. Although I think Momsy got a soft scholarship from Benue State, the government, to go and pursue this. But that's just gist I've heard. I haven't confirmed from her, but it's just I've heard anyway. And with the cooperative spouse, she went and got an MBA. And I also know people who are doing the same thing now, although doing it in reverse. I'm used to like the man holding it down, then the woman is the one that will go to school. So it surprises me that nowadays it looks as if it's the woman that is staying back and holding things down, then the man runs off to school. So maybe it's because of how I grew up. I just find that thing kind of weird. I just always assumed, the woman will go first and then get the bali, the degree, and then come back. Then maybe, now the man can go next, if the man goes at all. Oh, by the way, my father didn't go for his own MBA. So he was just stuck with his OND and his diploma for radio production. Sometimes I think that's why my old man wanted me to be educated, because in Nigerian terms, the way we Nigerians are now, in Nigerian terms, you would say my old man was not, he was illiterate, but you wouldn't really say he was an educated fellow like that in Nigerian terms, because we're in a country where everybody values the Bali, and where I only have 1 degree, but I have classmates who have 2 degrees and maybe 2 or 3 MBAs. So anyway, sorry, this is not about me. But anyway, Salami Abubakri, thank you very much for the question. The answer is you don't necessarily need to have an MBA, but if you have the money and you can make it happen, then please, by all means, go ahead. Especially if you're young, it's it'll be good. It'll be fun for you to get the MBA. So thank you very much for your time and attention. I'll catch you guys at the next episode. If you'd love to connect, just like Salami Abubakri did, and if you have questions, then send them to 080-6466-2140. The country code is +234 for those of you who are not Nigerian. That's my WhatsApp number as well. Don't send me Telegram, because that Telegram, I check it maybe like once every 4 months or so. And even when I check it, it's just delete, because there's lots of spam there. Then also connect with me on LinkedIn. The name to look for is Tabishima Ayede. I'm on YouTube as well, in case you want to get the content from YouTube. So thank you very much for your time and attention. I'll catch you guys at the next episode.